There are two forces operating on every European salary right now, and the uncomfortable reality is that most people have never seen both of them calculated honestly in the same place at the same time.
The number at the top of your payslip, the gross salary you negotiated, accepted, and told your friends about, is not the number that actually runs your financial life. One force takes from the left before you ever touch the money, and the second force consumes what remains from the right, and together they leave most European workers with almost nothing to build with. The wallet that was supposed to grow with every raise, every promotion, and every career move has instead stayed almost exactly the same size for years, and this video explains the precise mechanism behind that. The question is not whether these two forces are affecting your salary; they are affecting every European salary without exception. The question is how much they are taking and whether you can legally change that. The first force is the one that arrives before your money does, the European tax system, and most workers dramatically underestimate how much of their gross salary never actually enters their bank account. On a €45,000 gross salary in Germany, the take-home figure after all deductions lands at approximately €29,800, meaning more than one-third of everything earned is redirected before a single personal decision is made. In Germany alone, a worker earning €45,000 gross faces income tax, solidarity surcharge, health insurance contributions, long-term care insurance, unemployment insurance, and pension contributions, each line reducing the number before it reaches them. Most European workers know they pay tax, but very few have ever added up every single deduction line simultaneously to see the complete picture of what leaves their salary before they ever make a single personal spending choice. In the United Kingdom, a €45,000 equivalent salary faces income tax starting at 20%, rising to 40% above the threshold, national insurance contributions, and in many cases student loan repayments, together consuming approximately 26% of gross income. Sweden presents the most striking example, where an effective tax and contribution rate of approximately 38% means a worker earning €45,000 gross takes home closer to €27,900, the largest gap between what is earned and what is received of any major European economy. Sweden presents the most striking example, where an effective tax and contribution rate of approximately 38% means a worker earning €45,000 gross takes home closer to €27,900, the largest gap between what is earned and what is received of any major European economy. Every time income increases, the pattern repeats with near mathematical precision. Lifestyle expands immediately to absorb the increase, the saving margin stays identical, and the worker finds themselves financially in exactly the same position despite meaningfully higher earnings. The second force is quieter than the first, never appears on any payslip, carries no official name in most households, and in many cases does more long-term financial damage than the tax system ever could. Trading an owned car for a financed one at €450 per month feels like a practical upgrade, but it represents €5,400 every year flowing toward a depreciating asset, while the previous car would have served the same functional purpose at zero monthly cost. Subscriptions begin with one streaming service at €12 a month and silently multiply: music, fitness, software, news, storage, delivery, until the combined monthly subscription cost for the average European professional sits somewhere between €80 and €120 without anyone making a conscious decision to spend that much. The shift from budget groceries to premium brands happens gradually and feels entirely reasonable. But the difference between a €280 monthly grocery budget and a €481 represents €2,400 every year in lifestyle inflation that compounds invisibly alongside every other upgrade.
When every lifestyle inflation decision made in a single year is added together, honestly, rent upgrade, car finance, subscriptions, premium groceries, restaurant meals, better holidays, the combined annual cost routinely exceeds €15,000 for the average middle-class European professional. When both forces operate simultaneously, taxes removing a third of gross income before it arrives and lifestyle inflation consuming most of what remains, the average middle-class European worker is left with a saving margin of somewhere between 3 and 8% of their gross salary. 3 to 8% of gross income going to savings sounds manageable until you calculate what it actually represents in euros, and then compare it to what genuine long-term wealth building requires, and the gap between those two numbers is the gap between financial security and financial stagnation. Every serious financial planning framework across Europe and North America recommends saving a minimum of 20% of gross income for genuine long-term wealth accumulation. And the average middle-class European is saving between 3 and 8. A gap that cannot be closed by working harder inside the same system. Over 10 years, the difference between someone who addresses both forces versus someone who accepts them as unchangeable is not a marginal gap. It is the difference between a meaningful investment portfolio and an almost empty savings account despite identical gross salaries throughout. The psychological acceptance of both forces is simply the cost of being a working adult in Europe is not a sign of maturity or realism. It is the single most expensive financial belief a middle-class worker can hold. The current system is designed with 2 exits for every salary. One mandated by government and one engineered by the consumer economy. And between them they have made financial passivity the default setting for an entire generation of European workers. Stopping both forces does not require a higher income, a different country, a financial advisor, or any sophisticated investment knowledge. It requires understanding 2 specific categories of action that most Europeans have never been shown clearly. In the United Kingdom, the individual savings account (ISA) allows every adult to shelter up to £20,000 per year in investments or savings that are completely free from income tax and capital gains tax for the entire duration they remain inside the wrapper. Increasing pension contributions beyond the mandatory minimum reduces taxable income immediately and directly. Meaning a worker who contributes an additional €200 per month to their pension pays less tax on their remaining salary while simultaneously building a future asset. Across Europe, tax-efficient investment wrappers exist in every major economy. The German Depot, the French Plan d'épargne en actions, the Dutch Box 3 exemption threshold. Each designed to reduce the effective tax rate on investment returns for ordinary workers who know they exist. The formula that reverses lifestyle inflation is not a budget. It is a sequencing decision: income minus taxes minus savings target equals lifestyle budget, not income minus taxes minus lifestyle spending equals whatever is left for savings. The single most effective behavioral change available to any European worker experiencing lifestyle inflation is inserting a mandatory 6-month pause between any income increase and any corresponding lifestyle upgrade. Redirecting the entire increase to investment during that pause. When tax efficiency tools are combined with lifestyle inflation control and the resulting additional monthly amount is invested consistently into a low-cost index fund, the compound growth curve over 15 years produces a number that most middle-class Europeans would genuinely not believe if they saw it calculated in front of them. Both forces are real, both are powerful, and both are operating on your salary right now.
The solution
but
is
neither of them
within
is
our
as
grasp
permanent or
if
as
we act
unavoidable as the
decisively now.
system around you has quietly encouraged you to believe.